Innovation with innovator.
All right, so this is basically a lot of different methodologies to really rip everything apart, to put it back together in order to understand what might work, what might not work with our business, and look at it in kind of a scientific way to really understand how we can grow our business.
Exactly. Therefore,
The first one is disruptive innovation. Now, this basically looks at markets to where there is untapped potential, to where you can kind of create your own identity. For instance, with Netflix, they realized that people wanted to mail in or just quickly go to a machine at any time instead of going to a store during store hours. They wanted to just be able to return videos at will and not be seen. They just want to be able to get things delivered to their home and returned home. This ultimately destroyed Blockbuster. But this is just an example of disruptive innovation. Apple to the BlackBerry is another. Basically, if you offer a service or a product that already exists, but you're tapping into a very specific niche of that market that is not being served so well, and then you're going to move up the ranks fast with that. That's disruptive innovation.
And then the second one we wanted to talk about, blue ocean strategy. This is like creating a new market space and making the competition irrelevant by innovating in untapped area that where the demand is created rather than fighting over it. No?
Absolutely. So for instance, in real estate at EXP, they would often say the blue oceans are, if you speak a different language, you have a potential to go into the bluer oceans because you can bring EXP to places to where not everybody speaks the same language. Whereas we do have a lot of competition. There's lots of room to grow in the US and the English speaking markets as well. But it is just something where you can exploit areas where other people don't have that ability, and that's what the blue oceans kind of comes into play. Another famous example, of course, is Cirque du Soleil. This is where basically this is like a circus where people go around, and they merged the circus with the theater, and in doing so, this kind of destroyed circuses, but created this new thing that is not the same at all, and people loved it.
Exactly. Now, also another application is the first principle thinking. This is another way of breaking down a complex issues and problems to a basics elements. And this way you resemble a good and more simpler steps, a solution to a problem. And this is about like questioning the assumption and creating a new solution from scratch.
And I'm going to give the example for this right after we do the introduction. So
Hi, this is Alan Victoria. Welcome to our channel. Please go to theagentwolves.com and grab all of our giveaway.
Also, we are part of the Wolf Pack, so you would get our entire upline if you choose to join us. And we do hope you want to join us at EXP, so we would love to be your sponsor.
And also, please go grab an appointment with us and schedule a phone call.
Hit it. Now, the example with this, I'm going to give you a modern example and then an older example, so that way we have both, because I don't mean to be political. So Elon Musk, he created SpaceX. Well, how did he create these rockets? Well, he bought old rockets, ripped them apart, and then instead of buying expensive pieces in order to put his back together, he looked at how much each piece cost and how to design from scratch rather than just buying pieces from here and there. Another example, Henry Ford, when he was creating the automobile that everybody bought, he bought an expensive car, ripped it apart, put it back together, ripped it apart, put it back together, ripped it apart to understand all the little pieces that were there so he could also design from scratch. Now, if you're in the real estate business, we are basically in an era where we're going to talk about, all these things. So we have to talk about how do you do buyer agency again? What's the new way of doing buyer agency that's going to work for me? So I have to really think about the principles, how it all works, rip it apart and put it back together in a way that is modern and going to affect the 21st century. So it is still a very good thing to think about, and it doesn't have to be pieces.
Another way is incorporating the assumption mapping. The assumption mapping actually involves identifying the premises that you have about the problem or solution, testing their validity. This is also paired with experiment to validate whether premises are barriers or they're enabled you to innovate more.
Right. For instance, a lot of people might be anti-virtual tours because you're not getting the smell, you're not getting the sounds. But at the same token,
In real estate.
But at the same token, if you don't offer any virtual tours, you're not getting clients who want to see virtually first, which means you're not growing your market. So by having an assumption, you have made the assumption wrong. But because you never tested the waters, you will never know that you should be doing video tours until you actually have the situation.
Exactly. The next thing that we wanted to talk about, really design thinking, which is an iterative process that you seek to understand the user and challenge assumption and redefine the problems to identify alternative solution and a strategy that might not be instantly obvious.
Right, so basically a lot of realtors at this point are going back to design thinking at this, because look, the NAR, everybody knows that Zillow gets 35% or you pay a lot of money to get those leads, right? I'm just using one as an example. People pay for leads, and then they close on these leads, and it has to be a certain number. Now, since now these percentages and buyer agency is, more question and who might get what, more questionable, the whole concept of buying leads specifically from Zillow is going to just be ripped apart. Is that the best place for your dollar? I do not know your business to tell you the full answer for you, but I can tell you that we need to understand, why do people go to these websites? How can you make your website more an alternative? How can we redefine the problem to where you are going to be the buyer's agent for people in the future? And it might not be instantly apparent, but you have to kind of redesign your thinking in order to understand what you need to do in order to be the best that you can be. So you want to look at multiple versions of your website, look at where people are going, get feedback. Exactly. How can you increase the number of listings and appointments? So we have to go back to design with our real estate businesses all the time.
And the next thing we wanted to talk about is a lean startup strategy. This is also another scientific approach to create and managing successful startup by building minimum viable product, that they call it MVP, and testing it in the market. Then again, using an iterative quickly to understand how it can help and make the process faster and more efficient.
Right, so if you have a product that's going to work, and you can do it like with test runs, testing the waters is always good. Just so we're clear, Dropbox, which is something that people use in order to share, it's a sharing network. This was originally created as a file syncing solution before it became a product out there, and they were really gauging people's interest with it early on in order to get funding, in order for it to grow. So it happens in tech spaces, it happens in real life. I'm just giving you different options.
Exactly. The next thing that we wanted to talk is technology adoption and life cycle. This is also another model that describes an adoption and acceptance of the new product or innovations, and characterized by adoption categories, no?
Right. The categories are going to be innovators, people who came up with the question, early adopters, people who understood it really quickly, that it was amazing, early majority, there's still lots of people, lots of growth, late majority, and then laggards, people who are late to the party. Now, let's just talk about home security as an example. When these techs and the gadgets come in, the people who came in with early new became more user-friendly, they could buy it online, it became a much more easy solution. Exactly. So people looked at the life cycle of the technology. And then, of course, everybody got there, and then people are still getting what they want, but now there's more choices than ever.
Exactly. And the last thing that we wanted to talk about is interdisciplinary innovation, which is synthesize the knowledge really in the different fields and breaking it between the disciplines to bring a novel innovation, and that can lead really to the breakthrough ideas and applications in the industry.
So basically with the last one, so you're looking for a lot of real estate agents are now looking at AI, what can it do for me, and synthesizing that with our real estate business. Google Car, how does it drive itself? This isn't just AI, it's also showing robotics, it's showing machine learning, it's showing mapping technology, and of course it's also talking about real life sensors of things to stop. So there's so much going on in that car other than AI. So I just want to use that as an example, and there's so much more in our real estate business than just you and then AI. Like there's more to it than just that. There's, how you deal with clients and being human all the time.
At the end, I wanted to invite you to go to our website, agentwolfsplural.com, and also grab an appointment from our calendar with Alan Victoria Pinder, which is us. We love to help you to expand your business by sponsoring you at eXp Realty. And also don't forget to watch those videos, and see you and talk to you next time.